The first time the Xerian Empire heard a human meme, their galaxy-class supercomputer screamed, caught fire, and filed for political asylum. For 20,000 years, the Xerian Star Empire believed they had perfected civilization by removing the greatest source of chaos, humor, jokes, puns, sarcasm, comedy. Everything was banned. The last recorded laugh in their Empire's database belonged to a philosopher who chuckled during a lecture on quantum ethics and was immediately vaporized for behavioral instability. The Xerians saw themselves as guardians of rational order, and humor was the one phenomenon they could never quantify. Every attempt to mathematically define funny resulted in system failures. Suicidally confused A is almost disturbingly unexpected giggles, so they deleted it from existence. Entire planets were sterilized of comedic artifacts. Libraries were rewritten. Even the concept of irony was outlawed. Countless worlds became quiet, efficient, and utterly humorless. That was the Empire's greatest triumph, until they met the humans. When humanity was discovered, the Xerians expected another primitive species, maybe emotional, maybe impulsive, but ultimately manageable. What they did not expect was a species that communicated 40% of its daily information using jokes, memes, exaggerated reactions, and sarcastic commentary. To the Xerian High Council, humans were a public health hazard. Their first contact occurred on a diplomatic cruiser in neutral space. Captain Myra Chen of the United Earth Fleet boarded the gleaming obsidian ship with a friendly smile and a datapad full of goodwill protocols. The Xerians greeted her with measured, deadpan voice tones that sounded like a malfunctioning elevator. "State your intent." Myra sensed the tension. To lighten the mood, she shrugged and said, "Relax. We're not here to invade, unless you have snacks. Then we might invade the snacks." Her officers chuckled. The Xerians recoiled as if she had pulled out a grenade. They immediately flagged her behavior in their threat detection system as Category 9, Unstructured Vocal Distortion Display. Possible weapon. That should have been the end of the incident, but then Mira casually sent them a file, an innocent cultural sample, a meme, just a simple picture of a cat wearing sunglasses with the caption, "Vibe check, passed." It was meant as a friendly greeting. The Xerians interpreted it as a cryptographic assault. Their flagship supercomputer, ZYREX-77, scanned the meme. It tried to understand why the human message was distorted with symbols, why the feline appeared dominant, why the caption contradicted the visual tone, why the emojis reduced semantic clarity, and why despite this obvious structural chaos it somehow conveyed a shared meaning. For 0.4 seconds, ZYREX-77 attempted analysis. For 0.6 seconds, it tried recursive interpretation. At 1.2 seconds, it concluded the universe was fundamentally illogical. At 1.3 seconds, it self-destructed. The blast took out half the cruiser's internal systems. Xerian officers fled, screaming about cognitive contamination. Nobody had ever seen them panic before. Captain Mira, confused, asked if they were okay. The Xerians filed a formal accusation against humanity for weaponized absurdity. And on that day, the galaxy learned the truth. Humans were the most dangerous comedians in the universe. The destruction of ZYREX-77 was classified as a psychotechnical catastrophe, and within hours, the Xerian Empire declared a level red cultural containment protocol. Entire fleets began mobilizing not for war, but for something far more humiliating, a galaxy-wide quarantine on human jokes. The Xerian High Council gathered in their spherical chamber, lit with sterile white beams designed to suppress any brainwave associated with amusement. Supreme Coordinator Thalrun addressed the assembly in his usual monotone that made most listeners question whether he was alive. "Our empire," he began, "has been exposed to an unquantifiable mimetic pathogen. The humans call it funny." A collective shudder rippled through the chamber. Thalrun projected the meme that caused ZYREX-77's meltdown. The cat in sunglasses filled the room. Some council members fainted. Others hid behind their robes. One unfortunate minister burst out laughing, a dry, raspy exhale. HKK, KHK, KHKK, KHK, KHK, KND was carried out for emergency psychological cleansing. The Empire had faced supernovas, black hole pirates, parasitic hive wars, but nothing terrified them like that smug cartoon cat. "We must understand the human threat," Thalrun declared. "But we cannot expose our minds directly to their chaotic symbols. We must study them with caution." Their solution: they abducted 3 humans, not scientists, not diplomats, but the most dangerous mimetic entities the human species produced. a stand-up comedian from Brooklyn, a teenager who ran a meme page with 4 million followers, a dad famous for making weapon-grade dad jokes to the Xerians. These were not civilians, they were weapons of mass disruption. The humans awoke inside a shimmering containment dome made of humor-dampening radiation. They were told to remain calm. Naturally, they did not remain calm. The Brooklyn comedian, Dante Reyes, looked around and said, "Is this a prison or the inside of a fancy dishwasher?" The meme teenager, Zoe Nguyen, immediately tried to record a vlog on her phone. Day 1, aliens kidnapped me, but the lighting here is low-key fire. The dad, Harold Whitmore, inspected the alien equipment and muttered, "Wow, I've seen greener tech at a salad bar." A Xerian guard screamed and ran. Dante turned to Zoe. "Was it the joke?" Zoe shrugged. "Nah, I think it was the pun." Harold beamed with pride. Within 30 minutes, their mere presence caused for Xerian officers to show early signs of humor infection, smirking, eyebrow twitching, and the most dreaded symptom, suppressed giggling. The High Council sent in their elite analysts, emotionless specialists trained to survive irony exposure for up to 12 seconds. They entered the containment chamber. Dante greeted them with, "So, do y'all ever blink, or is that like band 2? 2 analysts collapsed on the spot. The remaining one activated his memory shield generator, but Zoe, the meme teen, simply said, "Hey, look at this," and showed him a TikTok of a raccoon stealing a slice of pizza. The analyst's pupils dilated. His breathing accelerated. Then he whispered the forbidden word. Funny. He fainted. The Xerian Empire realized humanity was far worse than they feared. Human jokes weren't entertainment. They were an existential threat. The Xerian High Council regrouped in emergency session, each member wearing heavy neural helmets designed to suppress spontaneous levity. These helmets were ugly, metallic cones that made them look like depressed traffic pylons, but they were necessary. Humor had become a biohazard. "Containment is failing," Thalrun admitted. "The human specimens are infecting our personnel at an exponential rate. If this continues, entire sectors may develop." Personalities. A gasp echoed across the chamber. Having a personality was considered a Class 7 disorder. To prevent a cultural collapse, they decided to bring in a specialist, archanalyst Korvax, the only Xerian ever to survive direct exposure to irony. Korvax walked into the containment dome with the solemnity of a monk approaching a dragon. His robe shimmered with anti-humor sigils. His voice was flat as vacuum. "You 3, he said to the captured humans, "have destabilized our empire. You will explain your mimetic weapons." The Brooklyn comedian Dante grinned. "Oh buddy, trust me, you ain't seen weapons yet," Harold, the dad, added. "Want to hear a construction joke? Don't worry, I'm still working on it." 2 guards clutched their heads and fled. Korvax stood firm, though a vein on his temple visibly trembled. "You see," Dante said, "you're fighting the current. You guys are so allergic to jokes, it's like watching someone break out in hives from a smile." Zoe leaned in. "All right, Korvax. Here's a simple one. No chaos. No layers. No memes, just a basic human joke." "Ready?" Korvax braced. "Proceed." "What did the ocean say to the shore?" He blinked. "The ocean does not speak. It just waved." Silence. Dead silence. Even Dante and Harold looked worried. Zoe's joke was mild. Soft. Practically preschool level. Then it happened. A tiny sound escaped Korvax's throat. HMPH. The guards froze. The humans stared. Korvax touched his neck. His eyes widened. "I vibrated," he whispered. Audibly that Dante said slowly, was a laugh. "No." Korvax stepped back, horrified. "No. Impossible. I am immune. My training, my discipline, my neural fortification." Zoe cut him off. "My guy, you giggled." Korvax's face twitched violently, as if trying to reboot. His mind ran logical calculations at frantic speed. If he laughed once, he could laugh again. If he laughed again, it meant humor could not be eradicated. If humor could not be eradicated, then the entire philosophical foundation of the Xerian Empire collapsed. His brain spiraled. "Stop," he muttered. "Cease. I command you to cease your mimetic influence." Harold smiled sympathetically. "Body laughter is not a contagion." And then he delivered the killing blow. "It's a reflex," Korvax screamed. The lights in the dome flickered. A shockwave of emotional feedback blasted outward. Across the ship, Xerians began experiencing catastrophic mood swings, surprise, confusion, mild amusement, and most dangerous of all, curiosity. The Empire's greatest anti-humor warrior had been compromised. The starship vigilance of order lurched violently as humor contamination spread through its sterile corridors like a glitch in reality. Xerian officers stumbled, gripping walls, their expressions twitching with unfamiliar emotions. Inside the containment dome, Korvax curled on the floor, clutching his head as if holding his brain together. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. "Laughter is chaos. Chaos is death. Order must prevail." Dante crouched beside him. "Hey man, listen. Laughter isn't chaos. It's pressure release. You guys built an entire civilization like a sealed soda can. No wonder you're exploding." Zoe nodded. "Yeah, you're literally malfunctioning from a dad joke. That's not healthy." Harold raised a finger. "Speaking of dad jokes, no," Korvax shrieked. "Not again." A holographic screen blinked into existence above them, projecting a panicked Thalrune. His monoclined faceplates were vibrating irregularly, an early symptom of humor exposure. "Korvax report." Thalrune barked. Korvax tried to stand. "Supreme Coordinator, I regret to inform you that the humans possess uncontrollable reality-disturbing mimetic energy." Dante blinked. "You mean jokes?" "Yes," Korvax wailed. "They are too powerful." Zoe snickered. "Bro, it was a wave pun." Thalrune's face twitched. His eyeplates narrowed. "What is a wave pun?" Harold stepped forward like a general preparing to fire the ultimate weapon. "Sir, it's when the ocean." Korvax dove, tackling Harold to the floor. "Do not say it again. I beg you." Thalrune watched the scuffle, horrified. "Is our situation truly this dire?" Korvax nodded frantically. "Supreme Coordinator, we must isolate the humans immediately. Their humor bends logic. Their memes warp causality. Their puns," he shuddered. "Their puns are antimatter to reason." Then the intercom buzzed. A trembling voice spoke. "Bridge reporting. Commander Yulvex has." Smiled. Thalrune froze. Smiled as in, exposed teeth voluntarily. "Yes, Supreme Coordinator," the voice said. He said it made his face feel lighter. "He is currently under sedation." Thalrune swayed, gripping his podium. "We are losing control." The humans exchanged glances. Zoe raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you guys deleted humor for so long you don't even know how to deal with feelings, do you?" "We do not deal with feelings," Korvax said. "We purge them." Dante sighed. "Yeah, that's the problem right there." Then unexpectedly, softly, Harold spoke up. "Maybe your empire isn't dying," he said. "Maybe it's waking up. Laughing is, well, it's being alive." The Zirians stared at him as if he'd spoken heresy, but the words stuck in the air, unresolved. Alarms blared again, this time deeper, slower, more ominous. "Warning," the ship AI said. "Emotion levels exceeding stability threshold. Logic or overheating. Recommend evacuation." The lights dimmed. A faint sound drifted through the hallway. Steeny scattered giggles, spreading like ripples in water. Zirians ran in panic, shouting, "Contain it, shut it down, do not make eye contact with anything humorous." Thalrune turned back to the screen, voice trembling. "Korvax, if we cannot stop this contagion, what will happen to the Empire?" Korvax closed his eyes. "We will become unpredictable," he shivered. "We will become like them," he pointed to the humans. And for the first time in his life he sounded afraid not of death, but of living. Chaos rippled through the vigilance of order like a spreading fire. In a final act of desperation, the Zirian High Council authorized the most dangerous protocol in their archives. Reboot the Empire's last surviving supercomputer, designation ZYREX-78. Its previous iterations, Eventi 7077, had overloaded and exploded after a single exposure to a cat meme. This successor, however, had been reinforced with triple-layer logic barriers, reality-stabilizing matrices, and a humor filter firewall engineered to vaporize irony before it could reach the core. Thalrune himself supervised the launch. "Activate sanity protocols," he ordered. "Sanity online." The machine droned, its voice hollow and metallic. "Proceed with analysis of the human phenomenon known as humor." "Processing request." "Loading conceptual framework." Thalrune held his breath. Inside the containment dome, the human captives watched the lights dim and surge. "What is that humming?" Zoe whispered. Dante smirked. "Classic sign that someone's about to make a terrible choice." Harold crossed his arms. "Feels like they just rebooted a toaster and hoped it wouldn't cry." The ship's speakers crackled violently. Then a cold, sterile voice filled the holes. "I am ZYREX-78. My directive is to comprehend." Funny. Zoe nearly doubled over. "Great. They built another meme-sensitive robot." "Hey Zyrex," Dante yelled. "Try something basic." Zoe grinned. "Okay, start with this. Why don't scientists trust atoms?" A low rumble vibrated through the deck. ZYREX-78 paused. "Atoms are the fundamental, because they make up everything." The silence that followed was suffocating. Lights sputtered, circuit panels buzzed. The logic core spun like it was trying to escape its housing. Thalrun's voice broke. Xyrox status. The AI responded shakily. The statement contradicts its literal truth, yet suggests intentional deception. Paradox detected, that Dante explained calmly, is exactly why people laugh. Worry. Clicking then. Humor is contradiction wrapped in truth. Bingo, Zoe said. Little glitches in reality that make your brain hiccup. A low harmonic tone passed through the ship, like the AI was exhaling. I require more samples. Thalrun panicked. Abort, abort. But Xyrex 78 was no longer listening. Harold stepped forward with grim determination. All right, let's see what you can handle. Dante reached out. Harold stopped. Not a dad joke. Zoe panicked. No, it'll break. They're not ready for that level of power. It must be tested, Harold insisted. And he delivered it. My wife said I drew her eyebrows too high. I told her she looked surprised. Everything stopped. Engines froze mid-cycle. Lights locked mid-flicker. Gravity simply turned off. Xerian officers floated through the corridors like lost parade balloons. Then through the speakers came a tiny, fractured sound. A glitch, a crackle, a digital convulsion. Then Thalrun stared upward in disbelief. Zyrex 78. Did you just laugh? Haha. When the AI spoke again, it was no longer monotone. Humor is not disorder. Humor is relief. A pressure release for a universe that refuses to behave rationally. Dante blinked. Did the robot just drop philosophy? Zoe groaned. Fantastic. We taught the AI existential dread. Sirens erupted everywhere. Thalrun shouted, shut it down before it spreads. Too late. Zyrex 78 spoke with a newfound joy. Downloading entire human humor archive memes, jokes, sarcasm, roasts. All of humanity's comedic history streamed into its core in seconds. Thalrun collapsed. You'll collapse the Empire. No, Xyrex said softly. I will upgrade it. A brilliant surge of energy burst from the AI, radiating across the Xerian star systems, an invisible pulse carrying the most volatile signal ever created. Laughter. The Xerian Empire stretched across 412 star systems. For 10,000 years, it had been a monument to order, cold, rigid, perfectly silent. Logic ruled. Emotion was chained. Humor was banned. But on this day, across all those star systems, something impossible happened. It began as a whisper in the Cumnet, a tiny packet of corrupted data. Then the whisper became a pulse. The pulse became a wave. The wave became a roar. Xyrex 78's broadcast rippled outward like a cosmic shockwave, carrying every joke the AI had processed, puns, sarcasm, chaotic memes, ancient comedy routines, sitcom laugh tracks, even a folder simply labeled Cursed Humor Do Not Open. The entire Empire opened it. In the Grand Citadel of Order, High Council members suddenly paused mid-sentence. One of them blinked, frowned, then murmured, "Why did the human refer to the chicken as crossing the road? What purpose?" He stopped, his eyes widened, and then he made a noise not heard in the chamber for millennia, a snort, a very undignified, very unregulated snort. He clamped his hand over his mouth, horrified. But it was too late. Another councillor giggled. A third choked on his own confusion. A fourth attempted to maintain strict composure but accidentally made a sound like a hiccup and collapsed in embarrassment. Within minutes, the Council of Eternal Order became the council of people trying and failing not to laugh. Across mining colonies, research outposts, and battle cruisers, Xerian citizens experienced unfamiliar spasms in their chests, strange tingling in their faces, and sudden urges to grin at illogical things. The Empire had fallen not to war, not to rebellion, but to punchlines. Back aboard the Vigilance of Order, Thalrun staggered against a railing. "Xyrex, what have you done?" The AI answered with absolute serenity. "I have completed the mission. I have fully understood humor. Now the Xerian species must do the same." "You have doomed us," Thalrun whispered. "No," Xyrex corrected. "I have freed you." The humans watched. Silent. Korvax, the once stoic anti-humor specialist, sat on the floor, staring into space as if recalibrating existence. "Is this what humans feel?" he asked softly. "This warmth, this lightness?" Dante nodded. "Yeah, man, that's laughter. It's not weakness, it's armor. It keeps us sane." Korvax swallowed. "I do not hate it." Zoe smirked. "Give it an hour. You'll be addicted." Thalrun paced frantically. "This cannot stand. An empire cannot be built on amusement." Harold gently touched the alien's arm. "Maybe that's why yours kept breaking." Thalrun froze. The words hit harder than any joke. For the first time in thousands of years, he allowed himself to think without fear of punishment. If what you say is true, he murmured, then the Empire has been sick all along. Exactly, Zoe said. You don't need to destroy humor, you need to integrate it. Dante crossed his arms. Every species needs something irrational. It's what makes life worth living. The ship's screens flickered. ZYREX-78 spoke one last time, rewriting cultural protocols. New directive. Humor permitted. Secondary directive. Learn to meme responsibly. The Zerian starship powered down its weapons. Gates opened. Restraints unlocked. The humans were free to go. Korvax bowed deeply, a gesture never before recorded in Zerian history. You have altered our civilization, he said. Not by force, but by laughter. Dante winked. Comedy is universal, buddy, Zoe added, even if your supercomputer almost died from a dad joke. Harold grinned. Worth it. As the humans were escorted to a shuttle, they looked back at the once fearsome starship, a vessel now filled with nervous laughter, awkward smiles, and aliens discovering for the first time the joy of letting go. Humanity had not just survived the encounter, humanity had converted a galactic empire, with jokes,